Welcome, curious minds and sleepy thinkers. You've found a soft place to land where the questions are big and the pace is slow enough not to jolt you out of your pillow cocoon. Let the day's hurried thoughts begin to recede like waves gently pulling back from the shore, leaving behind a calm, reflective expanse. Here we invite a different kind of quiet, a quiet that isn't empty but is filled with the soft rustle of ancient stories and the gentle hum of profound ideas. Tonight, we're going to tiptoe into one of the most fundamental questions that has ever stirred the human heart. How did we fragile beings on a tiny blue dot move from a world defined by the gnawing ache of hunger to one overflowing with abundance? It's a journey whispered through the ages, etched not just in stone and bone, but in the very rhythm of our shared meals and the quiet comfort of a full belly. But don't worry, we'll take it slow. This isn't a race through equations or a lecture on history. It's more like floating through a galaxy of ideas with a cup of chamomile tea, allowing wonder to be our guide. We'll simply let our minds drift, exploring the subtle shifts and grand narratives that brought us to this moment, this very breath, this quiet understanding of how far we have truly come. The path from scarcity to plenty wasn't just about sharp tools or clever ideas. It was woven into the fabric of our earliest gatherings around the flickering warmth of a communal fire. It was there in the dance of shadows and light that we began to understand something profound about ourselves and our place in the vast unfolding story of existence. Consider for a moment our earliest ancestors, Homo sapiens. Imagine them not as the dominant species we know today, but as beings surprisingly fragile, vulnerable, in a world teeming with creatures far stronger, faster, and fiercer. They lacked the crushing jaws of a saber-toothed cat, the searing speed of a cheetah, or the formidable claws of a bear. Their physical prowess when compared to the natural predators of their time was remarkably modest. They were in many ways an unlikely candidate for the grand narrative of planetary dominance. Yet within these seemingly unassuming beings lay a singular extraordinary gift, a silent power that would eventually reshape the very face of the earth, the ability to tell stories. Stories, you see, were not merely idle chatter or entertainment by the firelight. They were the original maps, intricate blueprints for survival and flourishing. They charted the treacherous paths to waterholes, whispered warnings about dangerous predators, and shared the secrets of edible plants hidden in the dense foliage. These narratives were the threads that wove individuals into a collective, transforming disparate survival efforts into a coordinated symphony of communal endeavor. And at the heart of where these stories truly came alive, where they were spun and shared, debated and refined, was the table. Now, when we speak of the table, let's not limit our imagination to the polished wood and delicate crockery of modern homes. Envision instead its primal form, a flattened rock, a cleared patch of earth, or simply the space around a flickering flame. This was the stage upon which the grand drama of early human society unfolded. Here the day's meager hunt was meticulously divided, the gathered berries and roots laid out. It was a place of sharing, of negotiation, of collective sustenance. More than just a place to eat, it was where the concept of we was forged. Around this shared space, individual needs began to subtly merge into collective purpose. The fleeting triumphs and bitter failures of the day were recounted not just as personal experiences, but as lessons for the entire group. This simple act of gathering around a shared meal, of looking into another's eyes as food was passed and stories were exchanged, built bonds far stronger than any physical strength could confer. It fostered empathy, solidified trust, and allowed for the complex coordination that mere instinct could never achieve. The table, in its most ancient and sacred sense, became the crucible where individual survival transformed into communal thriving. It was the birth of culture whispered through mouthfuls of roasted meat and the soft rustle of leaves. Today, as we gaze upon the vast abundance that surrounds us, the overflowing grocery shelves, the global tapestry of cuisines, the sheer ease with which sustenance often appears before us, it's easy to credit technology as the sole architect of this plenty. We marvel at genetically modified crops, automated factories, and intricate supply chains. And indeed, these are incredible feats of human ingenuity. Yet the seeds of this abundance, the very first stirrings of this rich tapestry of nourishment, were not sown in laboratories or vast industrial fields. Their genesis was far more humble, far more intimate. The journey began with a single bowl of shared food, perhaps painstakingly prepared, perhaps simply gathered, but always partaken around the elemental warmth of a fire. It was in that shared space, in the quiet exchange of sustenance, that the stories were born. The stories of the hunt, of the dangers overcome, of the cleverness employed, of the plants discovered. These narratives passed down through generations, accumulated wisdom, transforming raw experience into collective knowledge. The techniques for finding food, preserving it, and crucially sharing it were refined and expanded through the intricate web of these whispered tales. The generosity of a shared meal wasn't just about satisfying hunger, it was about building the social structures, the networks of trust, and the communal intelligence that would eventually lead to organized agriculture and complex societies. As we drift deeper into these ideas, we'll gently trace the faint echoes of our ancient past, seeking to understand the survival instincts that once drove us relentlessly forward. What primal urges guided our choices, shaped our bodies, and sharpened our minds. And alongside these instincts, we'll explore the subtle but powerful emergence of the wisdom of coexistence. How did the very act of living together, sharing resources, and telling stories around a common fire teach us not just to survive as individuals, but to thrive as a collective? These two currents, the fierce drive to survive and the quiet wisdom of living side by side, flowed together, sculpting the path that led Homo sapiens from a precarious existence to the remarkable abundance we often take for granted today. Imagine, if you will, the flickering firelight, casting long shadows on cave walls, the shared warmth, a beacon against the cold, dark night. In those moments, with the scent of roasted food mingling with the earthy aroma of the cave, something truly magical was happening. It wasn't just about filling stomachs, it was about filling souls, weaving them into a tapestry of shared destiny. This was the very beginning of the long, winding road to our present-day tables, where the echoes of those ancient fires still faintly resonate. The journey from a constant gnawing hunger to the seemingly effortless plenty of today is a testament not just to our intelligence, but to something far deeper, our inherent capacity for connection, for collaboration, and for weaving intricate narratives that give meaning to our lives. It's a story of vulnerability transformed into resilience, of individual struggle blossoming into collective triumph. And at its heart always is the humble yet profound act of sharing a meal, a conversation, a moment of quiet understanding around a shared space. As we continue our quiet journey, let's drift now to a much grander stage, the vast canvas of Earth itself, and ponder the question: how did Homo sapiens, this fragile and initially unassuming species, manage to not only survive, but to conquer Earth through the simple act of eating? It's a question that invites us to delve into the very fabric of life, tracing our lineage through the intricate tapestry of biological classification and marveling at the sheer improbability of our existence. Our story, in its broadest strokes, begins with a remarkable fact: Homo sapiens, after countless millennia of intricate biological dance, since diverging from our great ape relatives, stands today as the sole surviving Homo species on this planet. Think of the immense stretches of time, the myriad evolutionary experiments, the countless forms of life that have flickered into existence and then faded back into the dust. Against this backdrop of constant change and often brutal competition, our perseverance is nothing short of extraordinary. It suggests a unique combination of adaptations, a secret ingredient that allowed us not just to cling to life, but to truly flourish. To truly appreciate our place in this grand narrative, it helps to first understand where we fit into the colossal branching tree of life. It's a bit like finding our specific address in the cosmic neighborhood. So let's gently untangle some of the terms that help us precisely define our biological home. We humans are mammals, warm-blooded creatures distinguished by features like hair and mammary glands. Within the vast mammalian group, we belong to the order Primates, a diverse collection that includes lemurs, monkeys, and apes. It's a family reunion of sorts, highlighting our ancient shared heritage. But the classification goes deeper, becoming more specific, like narrowing down a country to a city. We fall under the superfamily hominoid, a designation that encompasses all great apes, both living and extinct, alongside humans. This is where our closest living relatives, like chimpanzees and gorillas, come into clearer view. Descending further down this meticulous biological ladder, we arrive at the Hominidae family. This family is a truly significant grouping, as it includes not only orangutans and gorillas, but also the branch that eventually led to us. It's a powerful reminder of the deep roots we share with these magnificent creatures. Even within the Hominidae family, there are further distinctions. We find ourselves nestled within the Homininae subfamily, which branches out to include both chimpanzees and the hominins. The term hominin is a crucial one, as it refers specifically to the group comprising modern humans, extinct human species, and all our immediate ancestors, including members of the genera Homo, Australopithecus, Paranthropus, and Ardipithecus. And finally, at the very pinnacle of this lineage, we find ourselves Homo sapiens. This intricate classification is not just an academic exercise. It's a living map built upon painstaking analysis of physical anatomical features and the profound insights gleaned from genetic analysis. Every curve of a bone, every subtle difference in a tooth, every sequence within our DNA whispers tales of our evolutionary past, guiding scientists as they meticulously reconstruct our family tree. The very definition of a biological species, you see, rests upon a fascinating concept: the inability of individuals from different species to produce fertile offspring. It is as if nature draws an invisible line beyond which genetic paths diverge so significantly that successful interbreeding becomes impossible. Our journey through this classification, therefore, isn't just about labels. It's about understanding the deep, often subtle, anatomical and genetic distinctions that emerged over millions of years, leading to the unique traits that define us as Homo sapiens. In this particular part of our story, our focus will gently rest on the profound evolutionary leap from the genus Australopithecus to the genus Homo, a transition that marks a pivotal moment in our ascent. Understanding their place in this grand scheme of classification and the terms used to describe them will be like holding a compass that guides us through the mists of deep time. While the classification system itself might seem complex, like a sprawling genealogical chart with countless branches and twigs, Homo sapiens, in the context of this book, sits at the very top of a remarkable achievement. We are a species that has crafted a civilization unlike any other that has ever graced the earth. No other creature, no matter how majestic or fearsome, has ever built sprawling cities, harnessed the power of the atom, or dreamed of touching the stars. This alone is a testament to an extraordinary inherent capacity, a spark of ingenuity and collective will that sets us apart. But perhaps the most astonishing facet of humanity's journey lies in our ability to have ultimately ushered in an era of abundance. Imagine the world our early ancestors inhabited, in a landscape of constant scarcity, where the gnawing fear of hunger was a daily companion, and every meal was a hard-won victory. To transition from such precariousness to a reality where food in the many parts of the world is bountiful is a monumental shift. How did Homo sapiens, the current incarnation of humanity, manage to navigate this treacherous evolutionary river and emerge not just as survivors, but as a species capable of such immense proliferation? Consider this. Not only did we survive, but we have also managed to feed a global population of over 7.5 billion people with vast quantities of food, often appearing as if by magic in our stores and on our tables. It's a feat that stretches the imagination. How could a species, once so vulnerable, transform its relationship with the natural world to such an extent? The sheer number of living species on Earth is staggering, estimated to be anywhere from 3 million to perhaps even 200 million. Even the formally named and cataloged species number over 1 million. Amidst this mind-boggling diversity of life, our ascent to become the dominant inhabitants of Earth truly feels like a miracle. Think back to our distant past when humanity existed as a fragile entity, relying solely on foraging and hunting for sustenance. Every berry, every root, every animal caught was a direct consequence of our immediate environment and our meager abilities. The transformation from this precarious existence to one where we could actively overcome environmental challenges and eventually create our own food is nothing short of breathtaking. It's a story woven with ingenuity, perseverance, and a deep, often unconscious understanding of the natural world. As we gently unfold this chapter, we will delve into the environmental conditions that favored our proliferation on Earth and the adaptive processes that allowed us to unlock this era of abundance. What were the specific planetary gifts that nurtured our fragile beginnings? What unique traits did we develop often, through countless generations of subtle refinement, that allowed us to not just survive, but to thrive and ultimately shape the very landscape around us? It's a journey that asks us to consider the immense interplay between geological forces, biological innovations, and the blossoming of human ingenuity. Imagine for a moment the quiet dedication of those early humans learning which plants offered nourishment and which brought illness, understanding the habits of the animals they hunted, and slowly, painstakingly developing the tools and techniques that would transform their relationship with food. It was a dance of adaptation, a continuous conversation between our evolving selves and the ever-changing world around us. And in this dance, the seemingly simple act of seeking sustenance became the crucible of our very being, forging the path towards the complex and abundant world we inhabit today. This journey is a reminder that our current state of being, our comfort and security, is built upon layers of profound historical shifts. It's a story of vulnerability, giving way to resilience, of accidental discoveries, leading to deliberate innovations, and of individual ingenuity merging into collective wisdom. The abundance we see is not merely a modern convenience. It is the culmination of an extraordinary odyssey, a testament to the remarkable adaptability and enduring spirit of Homo sapiens, the species that learned not just to eat to live, but to live to create. Let's now gently pivot our gaze from the intricate details of classification to the grand cosmic ballet that set the stage for our existence. As we consider how humanity has come to utilize the natural world for sustenance, it becomes clear that this incredible feat was only possible because our Earth itself provided the perfect environment and abundant nutrients for plants and animals to flourish. Think of it, no matter how intelligent a species might be, if the very conditions of its planet aren't just right, it simply cannot produce vast quantities of food. The Earth, in its profound generosity, laid the foundation, and then the growing wisdom of sapiens began to weave its own magic, leading to an unprecedented abundance. Our journey through time takes us back to when humans first began to truly understand and harness nature's gifts. By reflecting on the environmental conditions and humanity's footsteps from the very first spark of life to our current era, we can begin to grasp the profound significance of Homo sapiens' current standing, a species that must eat to live, yet has transformed its very existence through that fundamental need. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? For much of history, our understanding of the cosmos was profoundly limited. Up until the Middle Ages, humanity largely believed that Earth was the center of the universe. The geocentric model, with the sun and planets dutifully circling our world, was not just a scientific theory. It was a philosophical and theological cornerstone accepted as an undeniable truth. Imagine the intellectual earthquake then when Copernicus dared to propose that the Earth in fact revolved around the sun. It was a profound shock, a dismantling of a deeply held worldview that sent ripples through every corner of thought. Similarly, in the late 19th century, during the Victorian era, the prevailing belief was that humans were a special creation distinct and separate from animals. This notion was deeply ingrained in the fabric of society, shaping everything from philosophy to social norms. Then came Darwin's On the Origin of Species, a book that upon its publication once again sent shockwaves through the world. His arguments, which flew in the face of conventional wisdom, were initially met with fierce criticism and even outright condemnation. Yet the relentless march of scientific progress that followed with its astounding breakthroughs and revelations left humanity with no choice but to confront and eventually accept these new, often uncomfortable truths. We still have so much to learn, so many mysteries that shimmer just beyond our grasp. But compared to the past, the secrets of nature are slowly, beautifully beginning to unfold before us. Through tireless observation and ingenious deduction, we've come to understand some truly mind-boggling facts. For instance, we now widely accept the Big Bang Theory, which tells us that our universe is an astonishing 13.7 billion years old, originating from a singular point of immense energy that exploded into being. And not only did it explode, but the theory of the expanding universe tells us that it is still rapidly expanding even now. Can we even truly fathom such a concept? This grand cosmic revelation paints an astonishing picture. Our universe is home to approximately 100 billion galaxies, each a swirling collection of stars, gas, and dust. And within each of those galaxies, on average, there are another 100 billion stars. Our own humble Earth, we now know, is nestled about 8 billion light years away from the center of its galaxy, located on one of the spiral arms of the Milky Way. These astonishing facts, once unveiled, offered us a profound new perspective, making us realize just how uniquely special our lives are on Earth within the boundless tapestry of the cosmos. It's a moment of quiet awe, a realization of our extraordinary position in the universe. So how exactly did sapiens come to flourish on Earth? What were the truly miraculous elements that converged to create a planet capable of sustaining life? Let's take a slow, deliberate look at these wondrous factors. The very first reason, a truly profound stroke of cosmic luck, is the fact that Earth belongs to our solar system among countless other stars. Out of the myriad stars in the universe, ours, the Sun, is precisely the right size, capable of sending a stable and consistent flow of energy to Earth. This constant life-giving stream of solar energy is the very engine that sustains all life on our planet. Imagine the alternatives. A star with too little mass would emit insufficient energy to influence Earth's fragile life forms, while a colossal high-mass star would burn too quickly, its brief fiery life ending in a supernova explosion that would obliterate any surrounding planets. Our Sun, however, is perfectly sized for supporting life on Earth, and its incredibly long lifespan of approximately 10 billion years means that Earth's inclusion in this solar system is nothing short of pure fortune. Adding to this cosmic fortune is the second miracle Earth maintains: an optimal distance from the Sun. The planets that orbit the Sun, drawn by its immense gravity, are arranged in a specific order: Mercury, Venus, Earth; Mars, Jupiter, Saturn; Uranus, and Neptune. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are rocky terrestrial bodies, while the outer planets from Jupiter onward are composed primarily of ice and gas. Beyond them, a vast expanse of giant snowballs made of ice rock and organic molecules encircles the solar system. Now consider the extremes of our planetary neighbors. Mercury, closest to the Sun, experiences scorching daytime temperatures that can soar to 400 degrees Celsius, only to plunge to a frigid 150 degrees Celsius at night. Venus, another inner planet, is no less extreme, with daytime temperatures reaching a staggering 470 degrees Celsius. Even Mars, located just beyond Earth, endures an average surface temperature of 80 degrees Celsius. In stark contrast, our Earth miraculously maintains an incredibly comfortable average temperature of 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. This perfect thermal balance, like a gentle embrace from the Sun, is critical for the myriad forms of life that thrive here. The third miracle, a cosmic collision of immense proportions, also played a pivotal role. The Earth's environment underwent a profound transformation due to a collision with a protoplanet named Theia. Approximately 4.6 billion years ago, as the Sun was forming, Earth itself was born from the swirling condensation of interstellar gas and dust clouds. In its infancy, our planet was a hellish landscape, High-energy particles, known as solar winds, rain down relentlessly from the fiercely burning sun, bathing Earth's surface in an inferno of molten lava. No life could possibly have existed in such an environment. The early Earth spun incredibly fast, completing a rotation in just a few hours. Then, about 50 million years after the Sun's birth, an event of cataclysmic scale occurred. The protoplanet Theia collided with Earth. This immense impact unleashed unimaginable energy, triggering thousands of volcanic eruptions and causing a massive expulsion of trapped gases from Earth's core. This dramatic exhalation of gases eventually formed Earth's very first atmosphere. As for Theia's iron core, it flowed deep into Earth's interior, merging with our planet's own core and creating a high-temperature, high-density metallic sphere. This molten core, in turn, began to generate a powerful magnetic field, an invisible shield that would prove vital for the nascent life on Earth. This magnetic field protected our planet from the deadly solar winds and, crucially, prevented our precious water from simply evaporating into space. It was after this colossal collision that Earth's rotation gradually slowed, settling into the familiar rhythm of a 24-hour day. The fourth, and perhaps most fundamental miracle for life, is that Earth became abundant with the water essential for life. The prevailing theory explaining our planet's rich water supply is the cometary origin hypothesis. According to this theory, billions of years ago, a massive bombardment of comets collided with the primordial Earth. These comets, essentially giant dirty snowballs, were composed largely of ice. As they slammed into our planet, their ice encountered Earth's early atmosphere, generating immense friction and resulting in torrential rains of unprecedented scale. As this deluge cooled, Earth's scorching surface trapped gases and molten lava erupted through volcanoes, forming that initial atmosphere we spoke of earlier. The oxygen released into this atmosphere, in a truly remarkable process, then combined with the abundant hydrogen present in the cosmos, creating massive quantities of water once again. This newly formed water, combined with the continuous rain from the comets, ultimately enveloped 70% of Earth's surface in water. Thus, through these three incredible miracles, our fortunate location in the solar system, the cataclysmic collision with Theia, and the subsequent abundance of water, Earth became endowed with the most crucial elements for the birth and flourishing of life. It's a story of cosmic chance, of violent transformations, and of a delicate balance that ultimately nurtured the conditions for everything that came after. As we consider our place in this grand story, it's impossible not to feel a sense of profound wonder at the intricate dance of forces that led to this incredibly fertile cradle of existence. Having journeyed through the cosmic ballet that brought our planet into being, let's now settle our thoughts on an even more profound mystery, one that lies at the very heart of our existence, the appearance of Earth's first life. For humanity, the quest to definitively pinpoint how this initial spark ignited remains elusive, like trying to grasp a wisp of morning mist. To this day, our most earnest efforts to artificially recreate life have met with failure. This humility in the face of such a grand enigma leads many to the prevailing view that life in all its wondrous complexity arose spontaneously and inevitably from the very fabric of the cosmos. Imagine this quiet unfolding life at its core is simply an intricate assembly of molecules built from a handful of incredibly common elements: carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, calcium, phosphorus, iron. Seen through this lens, it's believed that at some serendipitous moment within Earth's vast geological history, these simple components, under just the right conditions, naturally coalesced into something more. The very first rudimentary life forms are thought to have made their timid appearance in Earth's primeval oceans somewhere between 3.5 and 3.8 billion years ago. For a staggering 2 billion years after this initial emergence, the ancient seas of our planet were home to little more than simple bacteria, tiny unassuming architects of a future yet to be written. Among these microscopic pioneers, one particular type of bacteria stands out as a true titan, playing an absolutely crucial role in the incredible proliferation of life on Earth, the cyanobacteria. Picture them, these unassuming organisms, slowly, patiently beginning their transformative work around 3.5 billion years ago. They started to produce oxygen not by breathing it in, but by ingeniously utilizing the abundant hydrogen dissolved in the ancient waters. And in this astonishing process, powered by the gentle energy of sunlight, they performed a miracle photosynthesis. They took the simple ingredients of carbon dioxide and water, and through the alchemy of light, created their own nourishment. This photosynthesis technology was without exaggeration the single most important metabolic process in the entire history of life. It didn't just provide food for the cyanobacteria, it fundamentally, dramatically, and irrevocably changed the life patterns of all Earth's organisms. The impact of this tiny organism was nothing short of revolutionary. Not only did oxygen begin to saturate the ancient waters, but its concentration in the atmosphere eventually climbed steadily, relentlessly, until it surpassed 20%. This monumental shift transformed Earth's environment from an anaerobic, oxygen-free state to an aerobic, oxygen-rich one. But the gifts of oxygen didn't stop there. As it ascended into the upper atmosphere, it underwent a subtle but vital transformation, becoming the ozone layer. This delicate shield began on its crucial work of blocking the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation, acting like a benevolent celestial umbrella, protecting the burgeoning life below. And as cyanobacteria continued their photosynthetic work, consuming carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, a beautiful side effect occurred. Earth's temperature began to slowly, gracefully decrease. Remember when these early life forms first appeared in the primeval era? Earth was a cauldron of activity with massive volcanoes erupting and oceans boiling. The oxygen produced by cyanobacteria was like a cool breath, gradually making the planet more hospitable, setting the stage for the next, even more complex chapters in the story of life. Indeed, the oxygen created by cyanobacteria was the very key that unlocked the next, more intricate stages of life's history, one of the most astonishing transformations occurring around 2 billion years ago. Involved some single-celled bacteria entering into a symbiotic relationship with other single-celled bacteria living together in a remarkable partnership. This profound cooperation led to the creation of eukaryotic cells, the fundamental building blocks of all complex life, where tiny organelles like the nucleus and mitochondria began to coexist harmoniously within a single cell. Think of it like tiny cities forming within a single living entity, each part contributing to the whole. This cellular innovation continued its elegant dance. Within plant cells, for instance, chloroplasts, once independent organisms, entered into a symbiotic relationship, allowing the plant cell to perform photosynthesis, harnessing the sun's energy. Eukaryotic cells, with their new internal structures, grew larger and possessed significantly more DNA than their prokaryotic ancestors, enabling them to devise better and more sophisticated strategies for survival. And as a magnificent crescendo of this cellular cooperation, the union of eukaryotic cells led to the emergence of multicellular organisms. Imagine a collection of these tiny complex cities deciding to work together to specialize and to form something grander, a whole that was far greater than the sum of its parts. Thanks to these breathtaking innovations, Earth began to teem with an unprecedented diversity of life. Some of these pioneering multicellular organisms branched off to become the ancestors of animals embarking on paths that would lead to movement sensing and eventually consciousness. Others became the ancestors of plants establishing roots, reaching for the sun, and forming the very foundation of the food web. And then around 540 million years ago, a truly explosive chapter in life's history unfolded known as the Cambrian explosion. During this period, an astonishing array of new life forms, with novel body plans and capabilities, emerged in a relatively short span of geological time. It was as if nature, after billions of years of careful preparation, decided to unleash a riot of creativity. As the great rains continued to fall, and the earth, once a seething cauldron of lava, began to cool and solidify, the planet's first stable landmasses rose from the churning oceans. This momentous geological event created entirely new frontiers for life. And so some of the life forms that had thrived in the ocean's embrace driven by the relentless imperative of survival, began to migrate from their watery homes to the unfamiliar terrain of the land. Imagine the courage, the sheer adaptability required for such a monumental shift. It was a bold step into the unknown, a testament to life's unwavering drive to find a foothold to explore every possible niche and to flourish against all odds. This ancient history, though seemingly distant, reverberates through every living thing, including us. It reminds us that our complex bodies, our very breath, are built upon billions of years of tiny incremental changes and grand dramatic leaps. From the simple, unassuming cyanobacteria to the first multicellular organisms venturing onto land, each step was a miracle, a testament to the persistent, adaptable, and endlessly inventive nature of life itself. And as we consider the profound transformations that happened in the primordial past, we begin to see how deeply intertwined our existence is with the very rhythms and forces of the planet. The story of life's emergence is not merely a scientific narrative, it is a profound philosophical contemplation. It invites us to consider the intricate balance of elements, the serendipity of cosmic events, and the astonishing capacity for self-organization within matter itself. From the simplest molecular dance to the complex interplay of cells, then, to the grandeur of multicellular organisms venturing onto new frontiers, there is a continuous thread of connection. Every single living thing, from the smallest bacterium to the largest whale, is a descendant of those first tentative sparks in the ancient ocean. Our own human story, with all its triumphs and complexities, is but a fleeting chapter in this much larger, more ancient, and infinitely beautiful tale of life on Earth. And as we drift towards slumber, we can feel a deep sense of belonging to this vast living tapestry. Having explored the cosmic origins and the very first stirrings of life on our planet, let's now gently turn our attention to a more intimate and personal part of our story, tracing our own human ancestry through the whispers of ancient fossils. It's a journey that seeks to unearth the hidden chapters of our past, revealing how we Homo sapiens became distinct from our primate cousins. For many years, the quest to understand the precise moment of our divergence from other great apes was a profound challenge, a puzzle with many missing pieces. However, since the 1980s, the advancements in molecular genetic research have shed a brilliant, clarifying light on this mystery. Through the intricate analysis of DNA, it has become abundantly clear that humanity, as we know it, diverged from a common ancestor with chimpanzees somewhere between 5 and 7 million years ago. Imagine just a few million years in the grand scheme of geological time, a tiny fork in the evolutionary road that led to such vastly different destinies. Before these sophisticated genetic methods were developed, however, humanity poured immense effort into a more tangible, painstaking search. Scientists painstakingly scrutinized every rare bone and stone fragment unearthed from the earth, hoping to discover that elusive, missing link, the tangible evidence of the transitional forms between humans and their ape relatives. It was a search filled with both frustration and profound hope. The very act of finding such evidence is in itself a testament to pure chance and perseverance. The probability of any living creature becoming a fossil is incredibly low. Think of it: for a body to be preserved through the vast stretches of time, several extraordinary conditions must align perfectly. First, there must be rock formations capable of preserving the fossil. Then the body itself must be quickly buried in layers of sediment, shielding it from scavengers and decay. Furthermore, the sedimentary layers containing the fossil must withstand immense geological pressures, avoiding being crushed or distorted over millions of years. And even if all these conditions are met, the fossil must then, by some stroke of fortune, be discovered by someone to finally reveal its secrets to the world. It's estimated that only about 1 in a billion bones ever manage to complete this arduous journey to fossilization. Given these daunting odds, it's perhaps unsurprising that most of the groundbreaking discoveries that illuminated human evolution happened not through systematic planning, but through sheer accidental encounters. One of the most iconic examples of such an accidental find is the Neanderthal remains. Imagine the scene in 1856 in Germany's Neander Valley, when a quarry worker stumbled upon an unusual skullcap and some bones. These were unlike any human remains seen before. Soon after, in 1859, Darwin's On the Origin of Species was published, igniting a firestorm of controversy, but simultaneously sparking an enormous intellectual awakening among European scholars. Suddenly, these unusual bones took on a new profound significance, becoming central to the burgeoning debate about human origins. Inspired by these events, a pioneering figure emerged, driven by a new kind of curiosity, someone who deliberately set out to dig for the evolutionary missing link. This was Eugene Dubois, a Dutch surgeon. Fueled by the excitement surrounding the Neanderthal discovery and Darwin's groundbreaking work, Dubois embarked on an extraordinary quest. In 1887, he traveled to Sumatra, then part of the Dutch East Indies. His reasoning was wonderfully simple, almost naive. Sumatra's dense tropical jungles were home to many monkeys, and its caves seemed like ideal dwelling places for ancient hominids. His deliberate excavations began, and astonishingly, just 4 years later, in 1891, he achieved a monumental breakthrough on the island of Java. He unearthed a skullcap, a tooth, and a thigh bone of an ancient hominid. These finds collectively became known as Java Man. Recent isotopic dating has confirmed that these remains are an incredible 1.8 million years old. Following Dubois's success, the narrative of human origins continued to unfold across Asia. In 1929, Davidson Black, a Canadian anatomist, made another significant discovery. Near Zhoukoudian, China, he found fossils of an ancient hominid, which came to be known as Peking man. Both Java man and Peking man were later classified as Homo erectus. These discoveries firmly established the notion that Asia, with its deep and ancient history, was an optimal location for unearthing the origins of humanity. But the story of our origins was not confined to Asia. A separate, equally vital chapter was unfolding in Africa. In 1924, near the Kalahari Desert in Africa, an unexpected discovery was made by a quarry worker, the perfectly preserved skull of a child. This fossil, initially dubbed the Tong child, was estimated to be about 6 years old at the time of its death. What made this skull so extraordinary was that it exhibited a fascinating blend of human and ape characteristics. Raymond Dart, an anatomy professor, upon examining these remains, boldly proposed that this fossil represented a new species, an intermediate stage between apes and humans. He named it Australopithecus africanus, meaning southern ape of Africa, in recognition of its discovery location. Dated to between 2 and 3 million years ago, Australopithecus africanus would go on to become one of the most famous names in the history of human evolution. These early hominids, as revealed by their skeletal structure, had arms that were not vastly different from those of apes, suggesting they might have primarily lived in trees. However, a crucial detail was their big toe, which showed anatomical features fully adapted for bipedal locomotion, indicating they walked on 2 feet. While ongoing excavations continue to unearth even older hominids preceding Australopithecus, the fundamental status of Australopithecus as a pivotal human ancestor remains unchanged, a foundational step on our long evolutionary staircase. Amidst these scattered discoveries, one individual held an unwavering conviction that the origins of humanity lay specifically in Africa. This belief would lead to the most famous family saga in the history of human evolution, the Leakey family. Louis Leakey, born in Africa to British missionary parents, grew up surrounded by ancient stone axes and arrowheads scattered across the landscape. After graduating from Cambridge University, he began his own quest in the 1930s, searching for fossils that would illuminate the origins of the Homo genus in Africa. At the time, his efforts were met with skepticism and criticism, as the prevailing theory for human origins favored the Eurasian continent. However, the Leakey family was relentless. Over 3 generations and 60 years, Louis and his wife Mary, their second son Richard, his wife Meve, and their daughter Louise, Leakey persevered in exploring the harsh terrains of Africa. Their unwavering dedication eventually led to major breakthroughs that rewrote the history of humanity. Lewis and Mary Leakey initiated their search for early hominids in Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania, a location that proved to be an archaeological treasure trove. Since the 1930s, this area had yielded a wealth of Oldowan tools, the simplest forms of stone tools made by early hominids. Then, in 1960, Lewis Leakey made a momentous discovery, a hominid fossil with a larger brain than Australopithecus, and features that bore a closer resemblance to modern humans. Overjoyed, Lewis named this fossil Homo habilis, meaning handyman, or tool-using human, and proudly declared it the direct ancestor of humans. This discovery provided concrete evidence for Lewis's long-held conviction that the earliest humans had indeed originated in Africa. Adding another profound layer to the human story, Mary Leakey in 1978 made an equally significant find in Letoli, a region south of Olduvai Gorge. Here, preserved in volcanic ash, she uncovered fossilized footprints of early hominids. This discovery was as historically important as the first human footsteps on the moon. The shape of the toes in these ancient footprints unequivocally demonstrated that these hominids were walking on 2 feet. This was a pivotal piece of evidence as it overturned the prevailing hypothesis that brain size increase was the initial driver of human evolution. Instead, the Letoli footprints strongly suggested that bipedalism, or walking upright on 2 feet, was the defining characteristic that separated early hominids from apes, and that this crucial adaptation occurred before significant brain expansion. Thus, it became clear that the fundamental distinction between ancient humans and apes began with their erect posture and their ability to walk on 2 feet. These ancient bones and footprints, unearthed from the silent earth, whisper tales of a long and arduous journey. They tell us that our story is not one of a sudden emergence, but of gradual, painstaking changes, of small adaptations that over vast stretches of time led to profound transformations. Each discovery is like a sentence in a grand epic poem, slowly revealing the incredible narrative of how we came to be. Now that we've gently traced our lineage through the fossil record, a fascinating question arises, one that truly brings us closer to the heart of our story. What did primates eat to become Homo sapiens? This isn't just a simple query about ancient diets. It's a deep dive into the evolutionary pressures that sculpted our bodies, our brains, and ultimately our very way of life. There are many hypotheses offered by scholars to explain why some primates began to walk upright, but the exact reason remains shrouded in mystery, a beautiful testament to the unpredictable dance of evolution. However, one thing is abundantly clear: during the crucial period when primates were transitioning through the Australopithecus genus to the Homo genus, Earth's environment was undergoing rapid and dramatic changes. Imagine the planet in constant flux, a dynamic stage upon which life had to continually adapt or perish. Over the last 2.5 million years, Earth has experienced at least 17 severe ice ages. These were not just brief chills. They were prolonged periods of extreme climatic upheaval, reshaping landscapes and challenging every living thing. The Australopithecus species, our ancient ancestors who had adapted to a warmer, more forested world, ultimately could not withstand these drastic climatic shifts, leading to their extinction roughly 1 million years ago. This significant event marked a clear break, implying that the evolutionary species that emerged next possessed quite different physical characteristics and adaptations, equipped to face a new, harsher reality. The profound impact of these ice ages was particularly felt in Africa. The lush forest areas began to dry out, diminishing rapidly, and vast savannas started to form. This monumental environmental shift presented a stark choice for the arboreal primates who had long made their homes in the trees. Some likely migrated in search of new forest lands, clinging to their familiar way of life. Others, however, were forced to change their entire lifestyle to adapt to the new open environment. Those who couldn't make this fundamental shift sadly became extinct, their evolutionary paths ending in the dust of time. It is precisely at this juncture that a pivotal moment occurred, Some primates made the daring decision to abandon their arboreal existence, descending from the trees and beginning to live on the unfamiliar ground. These ground-dwelling primates, these brave pioneers, are believed to be the ancestral population of early hominids, and the Australopithecus genus, which emerged between 4 and 2.5 million years ago, beautifully illustrates these transitional features. When we compare them to chimpanzees or gorillas, early hominids, apart from their ability to walk upright, showed surprisingly little difference in brain volume, skull structure, or dental features. Their protruding mouths and large intestines, structures adapted for digesting low-nutrient plant matter, meant that their bellies were often distended, forcing them into a stooped, less upright posture. Up until this point, primates primarily subsisted on what they could easily digest from plants: tinder, young shoots, seeds, fruits, and underground storage organs like tubers. Occasionally, they might have supplemented this with the protein boost of larvae and insects. Their large molars and deeply set jaws eloquently suggest a life spent chewing vast quantities of food throughout the day, tirelessly processing fibrous plant material to extract enough sustenance. As Australopithecus continued its evolutionary journey, particularly after the emergence of Australopithecus afarensis, the species diversified. They are broadly divided into two types based on the development of their molars, jawbones, and skull structures: robust and gracile types. This distinction, as we can infer, was intimately connected to their diet. The robust types were equipped with powerful jaws and large grinding teeth, perfectly suited for processing hard plant resources like tough seeds, nuts, and fibrous roots. Their anatomy speaks of a diet that demanded immense chewing power, a constant grinding of resilient plant material. In contrast, the gracile types displayed relatively smaller molars and premolars. Their jaws and other skull areas associated with chewing were also comparatively less developed. Australopithecus africanus serves as a prime example of this gracile form. The appearance of these gracile types, with their less robust chewing capabilities, is closely tied to changes in their food environment. It suggests that these hominids, who had once relied on tough plant resources, began to shift their diet towards animal resources. The early sources of this animal protein and fat are believed to be bone marrow and brains extracted from animal skulls. Imagine the ingenuity. The earliest tools found in Olduvai Gorge. Rudimentary stone axes dating back 2.5 million years were perfectly designed for crushing bones. This suggests a deliberate effort to access the rich energy-dense marrow hidden within. Even within the Australopithecus genus species, like Australopithecus garhi, despite having large molars and premolars that might suggest a robust plant-based diet, are now believed to have transitioned to a diet rich in animal products. This fascinating conclusion is supported by the discovery of animal bones, particularly from antelopes and large game near garhi fossils, bearing distinct cut marks made by stone tools. These marks strongly indicate that meat was being deliberately cut from the bones, suggesting that a shift towards a high-energy, high-fat carnivorous diet was already underway. When viewed through this lens, the hypothesis that the Homo genus emerged as a result of a dietary revolution, transitioning from vegetarianism to carnivory gains considerable credibility. It suggests that the increasing reliance on animal products provided the necessary energetic and nutritional boost to fuel the further evolution of our lineage, setting the stage for the remarkable changes that would follow. The shift from endless chewing of fibrous plants to the more concentrated energy of meat was a profound transformation, liberating our digestive systems, and as we will explore further, providing the fuel for our rapidly expanding brains. It was a true fork in the evolutionary road, and the path chosen by our ancestors would ultimately lead to us. The rhythm of nature, you see, is one of constant flux and subtle invitation. The shrinking forests and expanding savannas weren't just environmental changes. They were catalysts, pushing our ancestors to explore new ways of living new sources of nourishment. The decision to step down from the trees, though perhaps born of necessity, was a moment of immense courage, a leap into the unknown known. And in that leap, a new chapter in the story of life began to unfold, powered by the transformative potential of a changing diet. It's a dance between environment and adaptation, where every bite, every chew played a silent vital role in shaping who we would become. As we continue our slow, contemplative journey through the annals of human evolution, we arrive at a truly pivotal moment, the emergence of the first ancestors of modern humans. This chapter sees the unfolding of profound transformations driven by the very food our ancestors consumed. Following the Australopithecus lineage, we witness the arrival of the more evolved Homo habilis. Evolutionary theorists widely consider the adoption of meat eating as the primary driving force behind this crucial evolutionary leap. During this period, the African climate was undergoing dramatic shifts, becoming increasingly arid and colder. In such challenging conditions, a high-protein, high-fat diet, particularly centered around bone marrow, would have become more vital than ever, offering a concentrated source of energy and nutrients essential for survival. Around 2.5 million years ago, as Australopithecus gradually evolved into Homo habilis, we see the emergence of the first species within the Homo genus. Anatomically, these early Homo species, including Homo habilis, still bore similarities to their Australopithecus predecessors. They had similar heights, long arms, and somewhat protruding faces. However, a significant difference began to manifest. Their brain volume had grown notably larger, marking a crucial step towards the cognitive power that defines us. While the teeth and mouth structure of Homo habilis were not yet perfectly adapted for an exclusively carnivorous diet, their molars were somewhat sharper than those of Australopithecus. This subtle change is interpreted by scientists as evidence that they were indeed consuming raw meat. Imagine their resourceful, opportunistic nature. In times of scarcity, these early hominids would have eaten whatever they could find. This included a considerable amount of plant-based sustenance, such as wild fruits, tubers, and soft seeds, which provided essential carbohydrates and vitamins. But alongside this, they would have seized every opportunity to supplement their diet, with animal sources consuming anything edible that crossed their path, perhaps grubs, eggs, or insects. This broad, omnivorous diet allowed them flexibility and resilience in diverse environments. Then a monumental leap occurred around 2 million years ago, as Homo habilis evolved into Homo erectus. This was a truly transformative period, marked by significant changes across all aspects of their being. Homo erectus was strikingly different from the earlier hominids. Their brains were considerably larger than those of Homo habilis, signaling a remarkable increase in cognitive capacity. Furthermore, their physique became much more akin to that of modern humans. Their arms grew shorter and their legs became longer. Homo erectus was not merely bipedal. They possessed a body type that allowed them to run efficiently, a crucial adaptation for hunting and ranging across vast distances. Even more telling were the changes in their digestive system. Their jaws and teeth became noticeably smaller, a clear indicator of a fundamental shift in their diet. Concurrently, their intestines shortened significantly. This anatomical change is profoundly important, for a shorter digestive tract cannot efficiently process large quantities of fibrous, low-nutrient plant matter. For the gut to shorten, the quality of the diet must improve dramatically. And in terms of nutritional quality, animal-based foods are undeniably superior. Moreover, when consumed cooked rather than raw, animal foods offer far greater nutritional efficiency, as cooking breaks down tough fibers and proteins, making them easier to digest and absorb. Therefore, it is strongly believed that Homo erectus, despite not possessing large canines, primarily consumed cooked, high-nutritious animal foods. They were in essence the first humans to actively hunt animals and cook their meat. For this reason, Homo erectus is often considered the first true ancestor of modern humans. This connection between diet and brain development is profound. The development of the human cerebrum, that massive, complex thinking organ that sets us apart, is believed to have been impossible without the consumption of animal-based foods. This isn't mere conjecture. Consider the fate of those hominid species that diverged from Australopithecus but maintained a largely vegetarian diet. Many of them perished unable to sustain the energetic demands of a larger brain or adapt to changing environments. This strong correlation between dietary shift and brain expansion is a powerful testament to the role of food as an evolutionary engine. Of course, it's important to remember that at no point in history did humans eat only meat. Ancient hunter-gatherers, including our Homo erectus ancestors, were almost certainly omnivores, possessing a flexible diet that included a variety of plant and animal foods. This dietary adaptability was a tremendous advantage, allowing the Homo genus to develop more diverse survival strategies and thrive in various environments. Homo sapiens, our direct lineage, continued this pattern, selecting a wide range of foods for survival, wandering across the earth in search of sustenance and interbreeding with other Homo species they encountered, exchanging genetic material. This combination of adaptability, migration, and genetic mixing ultimately enabled us to become the dominant species on Earth today. The story of Homo habilis and Homo erectus is a vibrant testament to the power of adaptation, the relentless push of environmental change, and the crucial role that food played in shaping our destiny. From the first tentative forays into meat eating to the revolutionary discovery of cooking, each step was a profound leap, sculpting our bodies and minds and leading us closer to the complex beings we are today. The very act of nourishing ourselves, born of a basic need, became the catalyst for an extraordinary evolutionary journey, transforming us from mere survivors into the architects of our own future. Let's now gently delve into one of the most profound connections in our evolutionary tale: the idea that food is not just fuel, but the very engine of human evolution. As we settle into this thought, let's recall the insightful words of Jean-Anthelme Brillat-Savarin, the French politician and gastronome who famously wrote in his Physiology of Taste, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." While originally intended to suggest that one's food revealed their social status, later nutritionists beautifully reinterpreted this maxim to a more fundamental truth: you are what you eat. This simple phrase encapsulates a deep scientific reality, for the nutrients we consume are quite literally the building blocks that construct and sustain our human bodies. The evidence that food acted as a powerful engine for our evolution can be found in various corners of the natural world, subtly hinting at its profound influence. Consider, for instance, a classic example from the very father of evolutionary theory, Charles Darwin's finches. When Darwin sailed to the Galapagos Islands aboard the HMS Beagle, he observed a fascinating phenomenon. Finch species on different islands displayed remarkable variations in their size and, crucially, the shape of their beaks. As a keen observer, he quickly deduced the underlying cause of these differences: the specific food sources available to each finch population. Imagine it, the finches that fed on insects found high in trees had short, strong beaks, perfect for grasping their prey. Those that probed for grubs, hidden deep within tree bark, possessed long, slender beaks, ideal for extracting their quarry. And the finches that relied on fallen seeds, scattered on the ground, had thick, robust beaks, perfect for cracking open tough shells. This seemingly simple observation, this elegant adaptation of form to function, deeply inspired Darwin. It was here, in the quiet contemplation of these diverse birds and their specialized diets, that he formulated his groundbreaking hypothesis of natural selection, eventually leading him to write his seminal work on the origin of species. The finches, through the subtle pressures of their food environment, became living proof of evolution in action. The influence of diet extends beyond mere physical traits. It profoundly impacts social structures and behaviors. We can observe this by comparing our closest great ape relatives, chimpanzees and gorillas. Chimpanzees, with their diet rich in fruits, have relatively shorter intestines compared to gorillas, who primarily consume leaves and stems. This difference in digestive efficiency has far-reaching consequences. Chimpanzees, needing to travel extensively to find fruit, are more agile and have smaller bodies. Their social structures also reflect this, with less long-term bonding between males and females. Gorillas, on the other hand, can settle wherever forests are abundant, leading to shorter travel distances and larger, more stable social groups. The food they eat, the way they forage for it, directly shapes the very fabric of their communities. However, when we compare the dietary habits of the Homo genus with those of chimpanzees, gorillas, and other great apes, the most striking difference lies not just in what they ate, but in their attitude towards food itself. Most animals, upon discovering a delicious food source, will simply eat until they are satisfied right then and there. But early humans, our ancient ancestors, displayed an extraordinary and unique behavior. They would collect food and transport it back to a communal dwelling place where they would peacefully share it. This remarkable act of food sharing is almost entirely absent in other primates, and indeed in virtually all other animal species. It sets humanity apart. Glenn Isaac, a prominent anthropologist, proposed his influential food sharing hypothesis, arguing that the very act of humans sharing food was the single most important factor in human evolution. Imagine the ripple effects of this simple act. Sharing food necessitated language development to coordinate hunts and gathering, to describe locations, and to establish trust. It led to a dramatic increase in social interaction as individuals cooperated, negotiated, and formed deeper bonds around the shared meal. This heightened social complexity in turn fueled a rise in intelligence, as our brains became wired for intricate social dynamics and collaborative problem solving. According to Isaac, it was this unique behavior that separated the Homo genus from other hominids. While Isaac's hypothesis is just one piece of the puzzle, there is no doubt that the act of sharing food became a crucial element in making humans truly human. It was a foundation upon which our complex societies and our unique cognitive abilities were built. Beyond Isaac's groundbreaking insights, other compelling theories further elaborate on how food shaped our distinct human characteristics. The carnivore hypothesis, as we've touched upon, posits that the shift to meat eating provided the concentrated energy for brain growth. The expensive tissue hypothesis, which we'll explore in more detail, suggests a trade-off to fuel a large, energy-hungry brain. Other metabolically expensive tissues, like the gut, had to become smaller. And the cooking hypothesis argues that the mastery of fire and cooking unlocked nutrients, making food easier to digest, and thus providing even more energy for our developing brains. Let's turn our gaze now to a particularly striking anatomical feature that distinguishes the Homo genus from other great apes: the remarkable increase in brain volume that occurred throughout our evolution. It's a clear and unmistakable anatomical marker of our progress. Consider the numbers. Australopithecus, who appeared around 5 million years ago, possessed a brain volume of approximately 400 to 500 cubic centimeters a size, not significantly different from that of a modern chimpanzee. However, with the emergence of Homo habilis around 2.5 million years ago, brain volume saw a significant jump, increasing by more than one-third. The pace of change accelerated. By 2 million years ago, Homo erectus boasted a brain volume of 1,000 cubic centimeters, a truly astonishing feat, more than double that of Australopithecus. The trend continued. Heidelberg-Mann, who emerged 800,000 years ago, had a brain size of 1,200 cubic centimeters. And finally, our own species. Homo sapiens, appearing 200,000 years ago, proudly wears a brain of approximately 1,400 cubic centimeters, nearly 3 times larger than that of our earliest hominid ancestors. This trajectory of increasing brain size clearly sets the Homo genus apart from other primates. What's particularly intriguing, however, is that this brain growth was not a continuous, steady upward climb. Instead, it occurred in rapid bursts, with significant increases in size or transformative shifts in structure happening precisely when new human species first emerged. It's as if certain environmental pressures or dietary changes acted as powerful catalysts, driving a sudden, accelerated expansion of cognitive capacity. So this brings us to the crucial question: what was the decisive factor that powered the dramatic increase in human brain volume? One of the most compelling explanations is the carnivore hypothesis, which, as we've discussed, posits that the shift from Australopithecus to Homo habilis was primarily triggered by meat eating. The most renowned proponents of this idea are the anthropologists Sherwood Washburn and C.S. Lancaster, whose carnivore hypothesis suggests a profound chain reaction. They argued that as Homo habilis and their descendants consumed more meat, their mouths and digestive systems evolved to adapt to this new diet. The pursuit of meat, often requiring long-distance travel, favored the development of longer legs, which in turn made tree climbing less efficient. This forced a greater reliance on terrestrial life. Early Homo species, such as Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis, were likely not yet skilled hunters of live animals. Instead, they are thought to have scavenged, focusing on extracting calorie-rich bone marrow and brains from animal carcasses. The abundant proteins and fats found in marrow and brains would have provided the concentrated energy necessary to increase early Homo body size and, crucially, expand their brain volume. Specifically, fatty acids like DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, and arachidonic acid, found in significant quantities in animal fats, are believed to have played a vital role not only in the growth of brain size, but also in its activation and complex functioning. However, the transition from a largely plant-based diet to one rich in animal products was not without its challenges. Early Homo bodies were likely not fully adapted to processing large quantities of animal fat and protein efficiently. A fascinating piece of evidence supporting this comes from a fossil discovered by the Leakey team in 1974, estimated to be 1.7 million years old. This fossil exhibits signs of hypervitaminosis A, a condition caused by excessive consumption of vitamin A, often found in high concentrations in animal livers. The presence of such a condition suggests a heavy reliance on animal products at that time. More importantly, it also indicates that early Homo erectus bodies were not yet fully evolved to efficiently process excess animal fat and protein. Evolution, however, is a persistent force. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the human body underwent crucial genetic changes. Around 1.5 million years ago, the ApoE4 gene appeared in Homo erectus. This gene is involved in the function of apolipoproteins, which play a role in transporting fats and proteins in the blood to the liver and lowering blood fat levels. This genetic adaptation was a significant step, allowing humans to more effectively process and utilize animal products. It was through this gradual process of genetic adaptation and dietary refinement that Homo erectus, growing to a formidable height of 1.7 meters and possessing a brain capacity of 1,000 cubic centimeters, eventually evolved from scavenging the remains of dead animals to successfully hunting live animals. This shift from scavenger to skilled hunter represented a profound leap in their interaction with the environment and with other species. Successful hunting, especially of large game, demanded far more than just physical prowess. It required complex strategies. First and foremost, it necessitated the development of superior tool-making skills, a clear sign of advanced cognitive abilities. To craft effective tools, one had to think, to plan, to understand cause and effect. The brain regions associated with tool-making, specifically the cerebellum, and certain areas of the cerebral cortex, are notably larger in humans than in apes, about 3 times their size. Homo erectus was capable of creating sharp, sophisticated tools like the hand axe, an implement that other hominids simply could not replicate. The creation and use of such tools had an immense impact on human evolution, empowering our ancestors to manipulate their environment and acquire food in new, more efficient ways. Beyond tool use, cooperation and communication were absolutely vital for successful hunting. Imagine a group of hunters silently attempting to coordinate a complex ambush. It would be nearly impossible. The frontal lobe of the human brain, particularly an area known as Broca's area, is strongly associated with language. Evidence from Homo erectus skulls suggests the presence of Broca's area, leading many to believe that some Homo erectus populations used rudimentary language. This emerging capacity for language would have been immensely advantageous for cooperative hunting, allowing for complex planning, real-time communication, and the sharing of strategies during the chase. The deep, almost primal desire for meat is vividly etched in the artistic legacy of our Paleolithic ancestors. The cave paintings found in places like Chauvet Cave in France, dating back 32,000 years, Lascaux Cave, 17,000 years ago, and Altamira Cave in Spain, 14,000 years ago, are breathtaking testaments to this. The primary motifs in these famous cave art sites are almost exclusively enormous wild oxen, bison, and mammoths, often depicted alongside humans in the act of hunting them. These powerful images are more than just artistic expressions. They are windows into the minds of our ancestors, revealing the central role of large game hunting in their lives and the profound aspiration for the energy and sustenance that only such prey could provide. As we continue our exploration of human evolution, a powerful idea emerges that the journey of humanity is in essence a story of the developing, expanding brain. It would not be an exaggeration to say that human evolution is synonymous with the progression towards a larger brain. But how much larger is the human brain compared to that of other great apes? If we calculate the ratio of brain weight to body weight, humans boast a remarkable 4.6, whereas other great apes typically hover around a mere 1.9. This striking difference highlights our unique position in the primate world. However, a brain of this magnitude comes with a significant cost. The brain is a metabolically expensive tissue. This means that despite its relatively small size, compared to the rest of the body, it consumes a disproportionately vast amount of energy. So this begs a crucial question. Where did humans find the additional energy to supply such a large brain? The answer to this intriguing puzzle lies in a popular hypothesis known as the expensive tissue hypothesis. The human body is an intricate symphony of various tissues, each playing its vital role. Yet among them, a select few are remarkably expensive in terms of their energy demands. These are primarily the brain, heart, kidneys, liver, and digestive tract. Together, these 5 organs constitute only about something of our total body weight, yet they shockingly consume an astonishing 70% of our total energy expenditure. This is a profound metabolic commitment. In stark contrast, consider our skeletal muscles, which account for a substantial 41.5% of our body weight, but utilize only about 15% of our total energy. Even our skin, making up roughly 8% of our weight, consumes a mere 1.7% of our energy. Within this group of expensive tissues, the brain stands out despite accounting for only 2% of our body weight. It demands a staggering 20% of our body's total energy. Now here's the fascinating twist. When we compare the basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of energy the body uses at rest of the Homo genus, with that of other great apes, we find that it's not significantly higher. This leads to an even deeper mystery. If humans aren't producing inherently more energy, how did a species with a brain more than twice the size of other apes manage to fuel such a metabolically demanding organ? The expensive tissue hypothesis proposes a brilliant solution. Humanity was able to secure the energy necessary for its growing brain by reducing the size of another equally expensive organ, the gut. Imagine a delicate metabolic balancing act within the body. To shrink the size of the digestive tract, a fundamental change in diet was required, an improvement in the quality of food consumed. The size of our intestines, you see, is directly influenced by the volume and digestibility of our food. If a species consumes large quantities of difficult to digest food, like fibrous plant matter, its gut needs to be long and complex to facilitate fermentation and nutrient extraction. Conversely, if a species consumes smaller quantities of easily digestible, nutrient-dense food, its gut can afford to be shorter and more efficient. Thus, a high-quality diet became a prerequisite for the growth of a larger brain. And what constitutes a high-quality diet in this evolutionary context? As we discussed earlier, it almost certainly refers to the consumption of animal products. By choosing meat over an exclusive vegetarian diet, humanity gained a profound advantage. They could obtain more nutrients and energy from a smaller quantity of food. Furthermore, the digestion time was significantly reduced, meaning less energy was needed for the digestive process itself. This liberated energy, this precious metabolic surplus, could then be redirected to fuel the rapidly expanding and ever more demanding brain. Digestion is a high-cost process, demanding considerable energy. The energy consumed by the digestive tract as it processes food is known as the specific dynamic action, and it typically accounts for about 10% of our basal metabolic rate. Therefore, the increasing consumption of animal products, coupled with crucial improvements in food preparation, particularly cooking methods that broke down food and made it easier to digest, were absolutely essential for the continuous development and maintenance of humanity's large brain. It was a revolutionary feedback loop. Better food led to bigger brains, which in turn led to even cleverer ways of obtaining and preparing even better food. This journey of our species culminates around 100,000 years ago when Homo sapiens emerged as Earth's ultimate predator. By skillfully hunting live animals, consistently utilizing fire, and expertly cooking their food, our ancestors became a dominant force in the natural world. Of course, they were not alone. When some Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa to the Levant region of the Middle East around 70,000 years ago, they coexisted with Neanderthals. Similarly, as they ventured further into East Asia, they shared the landscape with Homo erectus and Homo denisova. The precise nature of their interactions remains a subject of ongoing debate and fascination. However, one undeniable outcome is that Homo sapiens ultimately supplanted all other Homo species, emerging as the sole dominant species. And not only did they outcompete their hominid cousins, but they also played a significant role in the extinction of large megafauna across the globe. Consider the chilling evidence from Australia. Around 45,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens arrived on the continent, it was home to a vibrant array of large animals, including marsupials like giant kangaroos, koalas, and wombats. Yet within a few thousand years of Homo sapiens' arrival, 23 out of 24 species of animals weighing over 50 kilograms became extinct. This astonishing correlation suggests a direct link. The hypothesis that the arrival of Homo sapiens led to the extinction of Earth's large megafauna is increasingly supported by recent research. By analyzing the timelines of prehistoric human dispersal across various parts of the world and cross-referencing them with the periods when mammoths and other large animals disappeared from specific regions, scientists have found a consistent overlap between human settlement and megafauna extinction. Homo sapiens, with their highly developed brains and exceptional collaborative abilities, became incredibly efficient hunters. They systematically drove these magnificent large animals to extinction. And once there were no more large animals to hunt, a new imperative arose. Homo sapiens had no choice but to seek new ways of life. This profound shift marked the dawn of one of humanity's most significant revolutions. They began to settle down and practice agriculture. From this foundational change, farmers began to build cities and construct states, laying the groundwork for the global communal life we experience today. The story of the expensive tissue hypothesis and the rise of Homo sapiens as Earth's ultimate predator is a testament to our remarkable adaptability, our insatiable curiosity, and our capacity for profound, often disruptive change. It reminds us that our intelligence and our dominance are deeply rooted in the food we consume, in the elegant trade-offs of our biology, and in the relentless pursuit of sustenance that shaped our very being. We are in a very real sense the product of our ancient appetites, and the journey from a world of primal hunting to one of cultivated fields laid the foundation for every civilization that followed. As our contemplative journey through the vast tapestry of human history draws to a gentle close, let's allow our minds to reflect on the echoes of our past, reverberating through our present and subtly influencing the unfolding future. This final chapter invites us to gaze upon humanity's place in the grand scheme of existence, contemplating our origins, our evolution, and the profound responsibilities that come with our unique position. We began by acknowledging that humanity's ability to harness the natural world for sustenance was a gift, a profound stroke of fortune born from Earth itself, providing the perfect environment for plants and animals to flourish. Without these foundational conditions, no matter how intelligent a species, the large-scale production of food would be impossible. Yet upon this fertile ground, the wisdom of sapiens added its unique alchemy, leading us towards an abundance unprecedented in the natural world. It is this intricate dance between Earth's generosity and human ingenuity that defines our current standing as Homo sapiens, a species intricately bound by the need to eat, yet one that has transcended mere survival through that very act. Our journey has taken us through astonishing shifts in perception. We recalled how for centuries humanity humbly believed Earth was the unmoving center of the universe, with celestial bodies dutifully revolving around it, a scientific and philosophical cornerstone accepted without question. Then came the Copernican revolution, a profound shock that repositioned our world, teaching us that our planet, like countless others, revolved around the sun. This intellectual upheaval, unsettling, as it was prepared us for even grander revelations. Similarly, the Victorian era's conviction that humans were a distinct, special creation, separate from the animal kingdom, was beautifully and profoundly challenged by Darwin's On the Origin of Species. Though initially met with fierce resistance, the relentless march of scientific discovery eventually compelled humanity to embrace these new, often humbling truths. We still grapple with immense mysteries, acknowledging the vast oceans of knowledge yet to be charted. But compared to our past, we are slowly, patiently beginning to decipher the intricate secrets of nature. This deepening understanding has allowed us to grasp truly mind-boggling scales of time and space. We now widely accept the Big Bang Theory, which places the universe's genesis at an astonishing 13.7 billion years ago. From a singularity bursting with unimaginable energy, and the theory of the expanding universe, which tells us it continues its rapid outward journey even now. We marvel at a cosmos containing roughly 100 billion galaxies, each a swirling galaxy of stars, and each with an average of 100 billion stars. Our own humble Earth, we've learned, resides about 8 billion light years from its galaxy's center, nestled in one of the Milky Way's spiral arms. These profound revelations have granted us a unique perspective, allowing us to perceive just how extraordinarily special our existence is within this boundless, awe-inspiring cosmos. The very fabric of our Earth, this nurturing cradle of life, is itself a testament to a series of miraculous convergences. Our fortunate position within the solar system, where our sun, neither too small nor too large, provides a stable life-sustaining energy flow, is the first miracle. Then there's Earth's optimal distance from the sun, maintaining that delicate average temperature between 15 and 16 degrees Celsius, a stark contrast to the scorching infernos or cryogenic depths of our planetary neighbors. The cataclysmic collision with the protoplanet Theia gifted Earth its protective atmosphere and magnetic field, shielding nascent life from the sun's harsh winds and preventing our precious water from escaping. And finally, the vast abundance of water itself, possibly brought by comets which descended in torrential rains to quench the fiery molten surface of the early Earth, creating the oceans that are the wellspring of life. These three miraculous elements converged, setting the perfect stage for the genesis and flourishing of life. From these grand cosmic beginnings, our journey drifted to the very first spark of life. While the precise mechanism of life's initial appearance on Earth remains a beautiful enigma, the prevailing view leans towards a spontaneous, inevitable genesis from simple elements, an intricate dance of carbon-oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. This primordial emergence, occurring some 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago, first saw the presence of humble bacteria in Earth's ancient oceans. Among them, the cyanobacteria stand out, true unsung heroes of evolution. Beginning 3.5 billion years ago, they began to perform photosynthesis, converting water and carbon dioxide into nourishment while steadily releasing oxygen. This single metabolic innovation fundamentally reshaped Earth's life patterns, transforming the atmosphere from an anaerobic to an aerobic state, forming the protective ozone layer, and even contributing to the planet's gradual cooling. The oxygen they created was the very key that unlocked the next, more complex stages of life, leading to the symbiotic relationships that formed eukaryotic cells, the complex building blocks of all higher life, and eventually, the emergence of multicellular organisms. This astonishing innovation fueled the Cambrian explosion some 540 million years ago, a burst of biological creativity that filled the oceans with new forms. And eventually, as Earth cooled and land masses appeared, spurred some marine life to bravely venture onto terrestrial ground. Then we zoomed in closer to our direct lineage, tracing our ancestry through the silent whispers of ancient fossils. Molecular genetic research, a relatively recent but powerful tool, has clearly shown our divergence from chimpanzees 5.7 million years ago. Before this, tireless paleontologists meticulously searched for missing links in rare bones and stones, a quest made incredibly difficult by the minuscule chance of fossilization. Perhaps 1 in a billion bones ever survives the journey through time. Yet miracles occurred: the accidental discovery of Neanderthal remains, the deliberate search by Eugene Dubois, leading to Java Man, the finds by Davidson Black of Peking Man, and crucially, Raymond Dart's discovery of the Tong child in Africa, providing the first clear evidence of an intermediate species, Australopithecus africanus, with its blend of ape and human features. And then the legendary Leakey family, driven by an unwavering conviction in Africa's central role, spent 60 years unearthing critical evidence at Olduvai Gorge, including the tool-making Homo habilis and Mary Leakey's iconic Laetoli footprints, which undeniably showed bipedalism before significant brain expansion, fundamentally reshaping our understanding of human origins. These fossils, these fragments of time, tell a story of small steps leading to monumental leaps. This led us to ponder the profound question: what did primates eat to become Homo sapiens? While the exact reasons for bipedalism remain a beautiful mystery, the environmental backdrop of the last 2.5 million years, marked by at least 17 severe ice ages and the drying of African forests into vast savannas, forced a critical adaptation. Australopithecus, unable to cope, eventually perished. Some primates, abandoning their arboreal life, began to adapt to the ground. Their early diet, as seen in the robust and gracile forms of Australopithecus, was primarily plant-based, requiring large teeth and guts. But a pivotal shift occurred. Evidence suggests a transition towards animal resources, bone marrow, and brains extracted with rudimentary tools. This dietary revolution, from vegetarianism to carnivory, is a compelling hypothesis for the emergence of the Homo genus. The very rhythm of nature, changing its landscape, called for a change in our menu. From this dietary shift, we witnessed the first architects of humanity emerge: Homo habilis and Homo erectus. The evolution was undeniable. Homo habilis appeared with a slightly larger brain, their diet transitioning towards raw meat. But the truly dramatic shift came with Homo erectus 2 million years ago. Their brains were significantly larger, their bodies more modern, capable of running. Crucially, their jaws and teeth became smaller, and their intestines shortened, signaling a reliance on higher quality, more easily digestible food, cooked animal products. Homo erectus became the first true hunter and cook, a revolutionary act that provided the concentrated energy needed for a large brain. This reliance on meat also explains why other hominid lineages maintaining a purely plant-based diet ultimately faced extinction. Our omnivorous nature, our adaptability in finding diverse food sources across the globe, and our capacity for interbreeding with other Homo species ultimately allowed Homo sapiens to become the dominant force on Earth. This entire narrative underscores a central, undeniable truth. Food is the engine of human evolution. As Brillat Savarin famously hinted, "You are what you eat." Darwin's finches perfectly illustrated how diet shapes physical form. The stark differences between chimpanzees and gorillas, from their gut length to their social structures, further highlight food's profound influence. But what truly set humans apart was our unique attitude towards food sharing. Glenn Isaac's food sharing hypothesis posits that this communal act fostered language, social interaction, and intelligence, distinguishing Homo from other primates. Yet the story goes deeper. The expensive tissue hypothesis elegantly explains how we could afford a larger metabolically demanding brain by shrinking another expensive organ, the gut, through consuming higher quality, more digestible food, primarily meat. The mastery of cooking further amplified this efficiency, providing even more energy for our rapidly growing brains. This intricate biological trade-off, fueled by dietary changes, was the bedrock of our cognitive ascent. And so we arrived at our current state, Homo sapiens, Earth's ultimate predator. By 100,000 years ago, our ancestors, armed with hunting skills, fire, and cooking, dominated the landscape. We coexisted with and eventually outcompeted other Homo species like Neanderthals and Denisovans, becoming the sole surviving lineage. Our arrival on continents like Australia demonstrably coincided with the rapid extinction of large megafauna, a testament to our formidable hunting prowess and collaborative intelligence. But this very success brought about a new challenge. With large animals, scarce Homo sapiens was compelled to seek a new way of life. This led to one of humanity's most transformative shifts, the agricultural revolution. We settled down, cultivated the land, built cities, formed states, and began to forge the interconnected global community we know today. As we bring this reflection to a close, let the echoes of our long journey resonate within you. From the cosmic dust that formed our planet, to the first spark of life, to the ancient footsteps on African plains, to the flickering firelight illuminating shared meals, every step has been a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the profound interplay between environment and evolution. The table of Sapiens, in its most ancient and modern forms, symbolizes not just a place to eat, but a sacred space where stories are shared, communities are forged, and the very future of our species is shaped. So where does that leave us today? At our modern tables, surrounded by an abundance unimaginable to our ancient ancestors, what does our journey from scarcity to plenty tell us about the future of the Sapiens Table? Will we continue to find sustainable ways to nourish our ever-growing population? How will technology further transform our relationship with food? And what are the responsibilities that come with being Earth's dominant species? With the power to shape the very ecosystems that sustain us, these are the lingering questions, the quiet reflections that remain as we drift into the gentle embrace of sleep. May these thoughts settle softly in your mind, inviting a deeper appreciation for the miraculous journey that brought us here. Rest now, knowing that your very existence is a continuation of this extraordinary story, a story forever woven with the threads of hunger and abundance, survival and wisdom.